Good morning, Wellness One crew. I apologize for the delay on this. I've had some iPad tech issues getting this recording done, so I'm re-recording it this morning. So today we are talking about a review of the lesson from yesterday. Why do my choices matter? When we talk about the serious choices, what is the connection between character and my decisions? Remember, one of the things we talked about yesterday was the 6 pillars of character. And these are ones that are important traits to consider when you're about to make a serious choice. Does your choice demonstrate trustworthiness? Are you showing that you will follow through on what you say you will do? Does it demonstrate respect? Is it respectful to you, but also respectful to the other people involved? Does it demonstrate responsibility? Much like trustworthiness, are you following through, and then are you willing to face the consequences that go with it? We talked about how we process mistakes. We want to make sure that we're willing to face the consequences or the results that our choices generate. Is it fair? Does it generate, or is it acting in a way that is honest and fair to everyone who it'll affect? Is it caring? Does it show going above and beyond to help others? Is your decision one that demonstrates not only fairness for everybody, but care and concern for everybody? And then citizenship. Does your decision reflect that you are thinking about how it's going to impact the community around you? Right now, that might just be your family. That might just be your house. But then how does it affect the citizens around you? When we talk about, am I going to obey the stay-at-home social distancing rules, that's something where there are some people who are making the choice to ignore those and still get together and hang out. And while it may not affect them, it may have a ripple effect in the community with spreading of germs. And so thinking about how, from a citizenship standpoint, how does that affect the world around me? We also talked about the difference between simple choices and serious choices. Simple ones are ones that aren't going to affect your best interests or your future. They're not really going to affect your community or the environment around you, your safety or the safety of others. They don't affect your health or the health of others in a significant way, and they don't affect your reputation or the reputation of others. So if I've already made the decision to eat ice cream, which flavor I choose isn't really going to affect my health. Now, choosing to eat ice cream or not to eat ice cream might qualify as a borderline choice. However, when we talk about serious choices, these are ones that could have an impact on your best interests and your future. If you choose to vape, if you choose to use alcohol or other drugs on a regular basis as a teen, that could have a long-term impact on your best interest and what your future looks like. Serious choices could also have an impact on your community or the environment. It could have an impact on your safety or the safety of others, the health or the health of others, and your reputation or the reputation of the other people around you. And so when we think about serious choices, whether it's the ones pictured here, our decisions that have to do with social distancing, or other serious choices we make, it's important for us to have a process to make those decisions effectively. When we get in the habit of making effective, serious choices, when we make smart decisions, generally 4 positive things will happen. 1, you will earn people's trust. They will count on you and respect you as someone who tends to make good quality decisions on a consistent basis and trust your opinion or your thoughts when decisions have to be made, or trust you to make more decisions. One of the things as you're a teenager you often want is more independence and more latitude to make choices in your life. And when you have developed a consistent pattern of making smart choices, you'll often get more choices to make. In addition to making more choices, sometimes you are given the opportunity to have more responsibility. Maybe your parents let you take the car farther than they used to, or longer than they used to, when you consistently make good, responsible choices with it when you first start out. Maybe your boss at your new job gives you a promotion because you do a great job of making smart choices and being responsible when you start. And lastly, like we talked about yesterday, one that's so important is that you feel good about yourself. At the end of the day, you know if you made yourself eat well and get exercise or you didn't. And you can make an excuse or a justification, but at the end of the day, you know how much you could have done in that area. And when you make good choices, when you make smart decisions in those serious areas, you feel good about yourself. You feel good about the fact that you're driving your life in a direction that you're at peace with. So the steps that we're going to teach you that we talked about yesterday for the decision-making model that'll be on the worksheet today are the 6 up here. So identifying the problem. Where is the fork in the road that I have to make a choice which direction I'm going to go? And then what are those options? Sometimes it's only 2. I do it or I don't, but sometimes there's multiple choices. Maybe there's a third option. What are the possible consequences? What is it that I can do when I do one of those choices? What is it I'm going to get, positive and negative? And doing that for each of the choices you identified in step 2. And then as you start to lean towards 1 or 2 choices, how do those reflect your character and the values that you want to represent? How do they fit into what's important to you? And then the 5th step is make a decision and go. And once you've made that decision, then finally take time to evaluate. And if when you finish, the results that you got weren't what you wanted, if we make the mistake, when we make a mistake of blaming, justifying, or denying, like we talked about when we talk about how we process mistakes earlier this quarter, or if we dwell on it and we beat ourselves up over it, we lose the chance to get a good evaluation. And so it's important that you just understand that learning from mistakes is a part of life. We get a good evaluation, and then we move on to make better choices next time. So today, we're going to go over the summary of some of the results from the survey and read through the directions for the worksheet that is in there and complete both pages. So, and then when you make sure you finish that, you remember to turn it into Schoology. The Google survey looks like this, and these are some of the results. So we talk about serious choices that people are making on a regular basis as teenagers. One of the things I wanted you to look at in here that's maybe something that we don't view as a serious choice, but really is sleep. This is out of 176 responses from people in wellness and phy-ed classes. You'll notice there's a wide spread of how many hours of sleep people are getting. But the average teenager is recommended to get 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep. And so if you look for blue, red, orange, and green, those 4 make up about a quarter of the students in our classes right now who aren't getting enough sleep on a regular basis for them to benefit for their health and well-being and growth. So even though lots of teenagers justify that by saying my friends were up, or I like working better at night, or whatever the excuse is, the reality is that's a serious choice that is going to have mental health consequences potentially. It's going to have academic performance consequences potentially, and overall well-being and physical health consequences. So that's just one example from the survey. There's lots of information in there about nutrition and other areas for you to look at. So today you're going to go in, the worksheet we're going into today looks like this. And this worksheet is one where you're given a scenario up at the top. So right up here, we have a sample scenario that talks about being in the quarantine and going crazy to see your friends, which most of us are. So identifying the problem for step 1 might be, I really want to see my friends, but I also understand how important it is for me to follow the stay at home and social distancing guidelines to prevent the spread of the COVID 19 virus. Well, what are the possible choices? Well, I could use all my technology to stay in touch with my friends and see them without being with them in person. Another choice is I could ignore the rules and when my parents aren't paying attention, go get together with my friends at the park or go see people. So you're going to go through and fill out this first one and highlight or circle down here when you get to this section, okay, the decision that you want to make. So the direction you're leaning, which way would you go on these? And then after you finish that, go down, write down what decision did you decide to make? And then evaluate the decision. Down here, we're talking about serious choices that have to do with the stay-at-home order. So picking one of these areas right here, you're going to pick one and write out what is a serious choice that you need to make. Maybe if you're one of those people who's going to bed after 2 and getting up after 2, or you're someone who's going to bed after 2 and still getting up at 7, yours could be sleep. Or maybe you could make a different serious choice having to do with how much you're helping your family, or a different serious choice that has to do with your physical activity level. But you're going to pick one and identify the problem and go through and list out the rest of this, and then turn in the worksheet. So that's our goals for today. I hope you have a terrific day today and a great weekend, and I will see you next week.